Hello, fellow human light beings. This is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about the solar eclipse, which will be coming very soon, within the next few days on April 8th. We're going to be focusing on what this solar eclipse is going to do energetically to our perception and hopefully for the entire world. The dark force elites are going to be exposed even further. Hello and welcome to the channel. So I'm a Vedic astrologer for anybody who's interested. Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac. Western astrology also can use the sidereal zodiac, but most Western astrologers use the tropical zodiac. So in the sidereal zodiac, this eclipse is going to be in Pisces, and that is extremely significant. So Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. It is the internal, deeper expression of Jupiter. Jupiter is the priest. Jupiter represents spirituality. Just in general, Jupiter represents deep concepts, as opposed to Mercury. Mercury is the intellect. And the intellect looks at the surface of things and categorizes things. But Jupiter speaks about things that cannot be expressed. So you can have a mercurial teacher, which is somebody who can explain things on the surface of things, get into the intellectual understanding of things. Or you can have a Jupiter teacher, and a Jupiter teacher will bring to light things that are difficult to talk about because they are so deep. So Jupiter is already like that. And then you have two signs of Jupiter. You have Sagittarius, which is the priest in the temple doing the rituals to heal and to balance and empower and awaken the population. And then you have Jupiter when he's doing his work, and that is in Pisces. So Pisces represents the deep waters of meditation, going deep within. And the reason why Pisces is at the end of the zodiac is because the zodiac represents your physical incarnation. And Pisces is the last stop. So ideally, when somebody spends the last months or years of their life, they spend it in contemplation and meditation to prepare themselves to move beyond this third dimension back into higher dimensional spiritual understandings. So this is where this eclipse is going to be located. Now the eclipse is also doing something. I didn't get it lined up here. Let me see if I can find it here. But the eclipse is going to go right over where it was in October, which was right over Dallas, Texas. Except it's going to be going in the opposite direction. It's going to go over the eastern part of the United States, which of course is where the capital of the United States is. Anyway, I'm sure it's in here somewhere, I'm just not finding it. So if you can imagine, the picture I was going to bring up shows the United States, and it shows these two paths that intersect, these two shadow paths that intersect. And they intersect right in Texas, right over Dallas. And my belief is, since the eclipse, the solar eclipse that went over Dallas, Texas in October, that was the first revealing. So if we look back on what has come to light since October of last year. it's hard to keep tabs of it when it's happening, because so much is happening so quickly that we get desensitized to it. But if you think about just between now and October, all of the things that have come to light that are shocking. For example, just one thing to bring to mind is, the whistleblower for Boeing aircraft was going to testify in court about how the management was knowingly doing things that were creating unsafe aircraft. And there's been all these Boeing aircraft that have been almost killing people. And so the whistleblower, I forget his name, he was going to go and testify, and magically the night before he happened to put a shotgun in his mouth and blow his brains out. I mean, and it's just so obvious. It's just so obvious that of course I don't have any proof for any of this. I'm not saying I do, but it certainly does look very convincing if somebody wanted to make the argument that Boeing management hired a hit person to take this guy out so that he wouldn't testify. And it's for obvious reasons, because they're corrupt, and they're trying to make as much money as possible, and they don't give a crap about your safety. And this ties in with the just the stereotypical elite mogul corporate owners that don't see you as human. They just see you as things that they can use to increase their money, and they don't care what happens to you. And this understanding is really starting to spread like wildfire about our governments all over the world. And three-lettered agencies that are supposed to advise and protect us, like the I believe it's the World Health Organization. They get the majority of their funding from big pharma. And so right there, you've got a conflict of interest, and most people know this now. And so the idea that there is this establishment that is protecting the individual, that the federal government is protecting the individual, or that organizations like the CDC or the World Health Organization, there's a lot of people who don't believe that these huge worldwide organizations, very few people believe that they have our best interest and are trying to protect us. In fact, more and more people are starting to believe that they only see us as a means to an end. They use us as fodder for their own advancement on whatever level. And so this is the theme of this eclipse that is coming up. Now, I can't speak for you, but ever since the lunar eclipse we just had, ever since that went over, and then I felt that energy dissipate and open up again, I could feel then this solar eclipse energy starting to come in. And I've had, on the top of my crown chakra, I've been having just really intense headaches. And I can't really figure out what that is. I am aware that I'm having some anxiety, and I'm already feeling like I'm, being occluded by a shadow. And I'm tensing up. I'm finding my jaw is tensing up from that feeling. So I could be giving it to myself. Could be tension myositis syndrome, those of you who know what that is. And it could be my energy body is reacting to what is coming, to this energy that's starting to. Anyway, it feels very intense for me. And so I believe that many of the things that I can't talk about on this channel, I don't know how much I could get away with talking about, but it has to do with young people being victimized in really horrible ways, and that this is being done on a worldwide, global basis. And it is much worse than anything I could have imagined. The more that I find out about it, the more unbelievable it is, and it's more horrific than any sci-fi or horror movie I've ever seen, and more unbelievable. These things, I believe, are going to come to the surface. I was in my group. I have a group of people I get together with. And we help each other, we support each other, and we also lovingly call each other on our garbage. But what was interesting is that multiple people in that group started talking about childhood sexual abuse. Multiple people within there. And some people were saying that their entire family, everybody they've ever known, anybody that they're related to, had been sexually abused as children. And that this is far more prevalent than we even realize. I found it interesting that came up and so many people were talking about it, and it didn't surprise me because this is one of the themes. The way that the dark forces have been feeding off of the innocence of everybody at every level. And I also believe that this eclipse may very well bring to light many of the lies, at least this is my hope, but I believe that many of the lies of what has been taught to us for as long as I've been alive, since at least 1961. The lies about extraterrestrials and their relationship to human beings. The lies about ancient civilizations that have been on this planet that go back tens of thousands of years. The history that we've been given is false. The history that human beings have basically just been, smart monkeys up until about 10,000 years ago, when they magically, out of nowhere, figured out how to create society, and they figured out how to farm, and they figured out how to, use technology. That somehow, out of nowhere, that happened. And of course, I grew up being taught that, and the idea was that, well, we were stuck in an ice age for 40,000 years, and so the ice age left, and then all of a sudden now we could, unthaw ourselves and move around and do stuff, and that's just not true. So I think that's going to come to light. But I believe that, and this is important, what is important to understand, if you've been watching my viral shorts that I've been uploading to YouTube, to my Facebook page, in case you want to go there, it's the Path of the Thunder Wizard. You're welcome to go there and support me there as well. And I'm trying to upload it on TikTok and having, but if you've noticed, I'm focusing a lot on revealing the truth about extraterrestrials and their connection to humans. And in one of the videos, which, I don't know how much of this is penetrating into people's consciousness, but I want you to pay attention to it because it's extremely important. And that is that until we understand the nature of our souls, we will not get out of this matrix that the elites have over us. And the most fundamental vehicle through which the truth of our souls is being revealed to us is in our relationship to what we perceive right now as extraterrestrials. And the lies that have been cloaked around this issue since 1961, if not, the 1920s. The lies that have been cloaked around this, the reason why it's so important, if you want to know why I am seemingly so obsessed and focused on helping people understand who extraterrestrials are, is because when you interact with extraterrestrials, you find out the true nature of the human soul. And then you find out the true nature of your connection to the earth, to the universe, and to the multiverse. And so what is happening in, all over, even on places like Rumble, but even here on YouTube and other places like that all of these lies are being exposed. The lies of the deep state, the lies of the dark force elite, the Illuminati, whatever phrase or word you want to use. The reason why that isn't enough yet is because we're just dealing with the surface. And the dark force elites are extremely comfortable with you believing that you are being awakened to their lies. I mean, there are things that they don't want to give up control, but they will give little bits and pieces of the superficial lies in order to make you feel as though you're learning the truth about them. But the thing that they don't want you to know the most is the truth about extraterrestrials. And anyway, as I said, if you understand the true nature of extraterrestrials, you will understand the true nature of your soul. And then you will understand the true nature of your connection to the multiverse. And this is why, if you want to know why I'm so focused on extraterrestrials, this is why. It's not about them. If you were to talk to them, they would say it's not about us. It's about you. But it's impossible to interact with them and not connect to yourself on a soul level. It's impossible. And this is why people are afraid of them. If you want to know, it goes back, it's about psychology. The difference between a healthy child that is well adjusted and able to go through life and have relationships and be successful and create a career and be healthy and happy, and one that is dysfunctional, sad, depressed, abused, drug addicted, unable to get a job, the difference between these two is very simple. A well-adjusted child is a child whose parents saw in them that they had their own individual soul and that they were able to create their own reality. The parents of well-adjusted children allowed them to have all of their feelings, positive and negative, and accepted and loved them no matter what they were doing or what they were feeling. That ends up creating a well-adjusted child who can be disappointed and still feel valuable and therefore be successful. They can make mistakes and pick themselves up and go, that's okay, I'm still lovable. And they will believe that life will work out for them. You've heard people talk like this. People say, I don't know, I've always had this belief that, there's always something brighter on the other side and life always works out for me. I always get what I want. You can be sure that more than likely that person had loving parents and or they had an awakening within their life where they became self-empowered to the point where they realized they made the universe their parent. And that's ideally what parents are. Parents represent the universe to us. They represent God. So the point I'm trying to get at is that if you don't have that, if you have not been given the opportunity to feel your true essence, to feel that you are loved by just the air that's around you. If you don't have that sense of entitlement, there's good sense of entitlement and bad sense of entitlement. The good sense is that you know that every molecule around you loves you, and that as long as you are aligned with your true self, the universe will support you. This is reflected in parents when parents say, I don't care what you do, I just want you to be happy. Even if you're rich and you're in some business and you're making a lot of money, but you're doing it out of ego or greed, a good parent will say, but are you happy? Yeah, you have all this stuff, but are you happy? I just want you to be happy. I don't care about any of that. When you have that, then you know that the universe will take care of you. Anyway, the belief that people have about extraterrestrials is based on the current society that we've created, which says that you are not loved for who you are, that your existence is not enough to be loved, that the universe is a cold, cruel, unsafe place, and that the beings that are outside of your perception are cold, cruel, predatory, and unloving. This is something that is instilled in us, in our society. It is not instilled into people of more what we would call shamanic religious upbringing. The traditional religions that came before monotheism focused on being loved and being safe and being provided for by the universe. It wasn't until monotheism was invented in something like 2000 BC or something like that. It wasn't that long ago. It's a very new creation. The invention of monotheism that said that you are separate from God and that you are not perfect and God must destroy you. You must earn God's love in either following the law or having somebody else be sacrificed for you. That belief, regardless of how much you say God is love, I believe in God, God loves me, what's underneath that is, yeah, but if I'm not, connected to the right God, God will throw me away. God will reject me because I'm imperfect. That is the true message, and that's what sits in the unconscious. It's the basis, it's the assumption of that. And what that creates is it creates a fear of everything unknown. Whereas, if you are well-adjusted and you know that your value comes from simply being alive, which is why I keep repeating to you over and over again, you are God. Because that concept is that God has value because he exists and for no other reason. And when you understand that you have value simply because you exist and for no other reason, then you become equal to God in terms of your value. Even if you don't believe that you have God's powers. If you say, my essence, my soul is made up of God, and that is, it deserves love and approval and acceptance because it exists and for no other reason. When you have that understanding, then you are not afraid of the unknown. You are curious of the unknown. And what I've come to find out as a direct result of communicating with higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings, what I have come to find out is that you are either operating from fear or curiosity in the third dimension. And that the whole point of the third dimension, which limits you so that you don't have a direct connection to all the things in higher dimensions, and you have a strong, isolated experience of your own soul, that the whole point of the third dimension, you forgetting who you were when you incarnated and having this feeling of isolation, was that you would go within and you would experience your own divinity, and you would begin to express that in your life. You cannot do that if you are afraid. Fear comes from not understanding and not trusting the unknown. Curiosity comes from not knowing the unknown, but knowing that you are safe within the unknown and wanting to experience it. So the base assumption has been destroyed. The base assumption for human beings was that you are a spiritual being and you are born into this world to have a physical experience, and that you are supposed to use your curiosity to expand into appreciating your divinity more and more. And the result of that is you'll be happy, you'll be healthy, and you'll be able to do magical, wonderful things in this limited environment. That was the whole point of the third dimension. But many tens of thousands of years ago, there were human beings who started tapping into this very understanding. And they started tapping into the power that they had. And unfortunately, these people began to use this knowledge to control others. And every time that this has happened, there has been a cataclysm. Every time this has happened, the earth and the universe conspire together to wipe away that civilization and start over again. This is the last one, the one we're in now. The universe has decided that this experiment is over. In many ways, it was a resounding success, because there are extremely, extremely powerful beings now that exist within the third dimension and beyond, that are still human, like Mahavatar Babaji, for example. He's just one of many. There are many people that actually escaped the matrix and won the game, and they benefited in ways you can't even imagine. Had there not been a third dimension, they wouldn't have gained the power that they gained. But then there were people who gained power and used it to control, to manipulate, to predate upon their fellow humans. And they became narcissistic. If you want to know where narcissism came from, it came from them. And narcissism is the internal experience that you don't have a soul. So everything that I just talked about, a narcissist can't relate to, because they don't feel they have a soul. They do, of course, but they're mentally ill. And their experience is that they don't have one, which means that they don't have any value. So like a hungry predator, they have to feed off of the innocent. Of course, they never gain any sustenance. They never get anything from it. But the symbolism in their mind is they want what those innocent beings and people have. And so when you understand what the truth is of extraterrestrials, the dark force elites will never be able to control you. And this is what they fear the most. So the last thing that they are going to let be known, the last secret, will have to be around the true nature of extraterrestrials. So, I'm going to talk about some things in our current society, the propaganda. Now that I realize how pervasive the propaganda is in our media and our entertainment, I'm going to be talking to you about what those things are and what to look for, so that and can get to the truth of your essence and escape this matrix. So stay tuned. Alrighty. So, if you're new to the channel, here's what I need you to do. First, I need you to know this. Question your reality. Online classes and personal mentorship at thunderwizard.com. It's very important that if you're getting something out of this channel that you support it. And the best way to support it is to go onto the thunderwizard.com site and subscribe to the 90-day challenge, and or go to the shop and get the very powerful technology, spiritual technology that I'll be sharing with you, which will allow you to awaken from this. So also I need you to subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell button so you can be notified whenever I upload. There are 2 playlists which are free. They will always stay free, and you should check those out. That is the Interdimensional Meditation and the 12 Steps to 5D. The Maoshan Qigong, I am moving over to the shop. Either it'll be in the 90-day challenge. There's a lot of practices that were free that are now only available to those who are subscribed to the Warrior 90-day Lightning Qigong. And other practices are going to be moved over to the shop, as it has already been done. And in fact, this new practice, which is an old practice, but I'm making it available again, is one such practice. The Maoshan wood element moving shamanic kung fu form is the most powerful and advanced method I've ever used to tap directly into the power of pure spirit, of pure energy. These moving forms work with the 8 directions in ways that allow you to literally channel and summon higher dimensional energies. This particular package includes what you see here, which is called the Sifu hands. I also give you detailed footwork instruction, which connects to the energy centers at the bottom of the feet. And when you put the hand movements, the foot movements, and the alignment of the body together, you actually are able to channel the deity known as ether, or in Taoist understanding, wood. It's available now at thunderwizard.com. Go and click on the shop menu. You will see it there. The rest of the elements, metal, fire, water, and earth, will be coming soon. All right, so let's get back into the subject here. So the April 8th solar eclipse is going to expose more of the Dark Force elite's agenda. As I was saying just a little bit ago, the secret that they're going to hold on to the tightest is the secrets about extraterrestrials, because once the true nature of extraterrestrials becomes common knowledge, religion, the religions that are based on suppression and guilt, they will come crumbling down. So I want you to just imagine for a moment, what would happen in a world where Christianity, Islam, Judaism all came crumbling down? That the idea of one God, Jehovah, Allah, Jesus, if that understanding was completely destroyed and people saw that that is really a way for elites to control and manipulate you by making you feel devalued, sinful, and unlovable, that you have to worship a narcissist who is never satisfied. To understand that and to have the ability to let go of that. Imagine a world where that happens. That would be unbelievable. But that would happen if the average person knew the true nature of extraterrestrials. Religion would be the first thing that would go. And along with that would be the knowledge that each individual is their own authority. Each individual is in fact the seat of God, and that every individual's deepest desires are nothing more than the commandments of God, him or herself. Imagine a world filled with people who had that level of power. The elites would have nothing, absolutely nothing to control you with. So that's the last thing that's going to go. So the reason why, and I'm going to share with you a very powerful propaganda tool, but first thing I'm going to help you understand is why. So the question is, well, why are people, because these beliefs had to be adopted by people. The Roman Empire couldn't have gotten all of its territory that it had, especially after Christianity, if Roman citizens hadn't adopted these beliefs. Same is true with the early Israel. In case you want to know, the monotheist religion as we know it did not exist before, I think it was 382 BC, somewhere around there. In Israel existed at that time. King David, King Solomon, all that stuff, there's a lot of truth to all that. But before the Babylonian captivity, all of the Israelis, way back then, 3,000 years ago, whatever it was, they were polytheists. And in every home, there was an altar to Sky Father and the Earth Mother and to fertility deities. They were just like everybody else. All of the other people around them, the Philistines, the Egyptians, whoever else, the Hittites, it doesn't matter. They were all polytheists, and they all worshipped similar gods, maybe the same gods. And so the elites, what they first did is they refused to pay their tribute to the Babylonians, who were at that time had conquered them. And as long as they paid their tribute to the Babylonians, they would be okay. And they decided not to do that. And they had come to the belief that their patron god, Jehovah, which was actually a war god in the Arabian desert somewhere, they got it from some other culture and they brought it in and they made this warrior god their patron god of Jerusalem and of their temple. The elites, of course, wanted to have control, as they always do, and the priestly class, which worked with them, the same thing, they became priests of the god of their government, and that god was called Yahweh or Jehovah, and he was a war god. He wasn't ever meant to be the one god that rules everything. These guys went off into captivity because they didn't pay their taxes, because they believed that as long as they worshiped Jehovah, Jehovah would protect them, and they didn't. He didn't. The elites from Babylon came in with their army, wiped them out, flattened their temple, took the elite class and the priestly class, which is also the elites, took them off in chains and put them in in prison for 70 years. During those 70 years, the elites got together with the priest and they said to the priest, hey, you guys told us that if we worshipped this Jehovah guy, that he would protect us, he would be the state god. And the priest said, yeah, that's what we thought too. And then, he must be a jealous god. Oh, now I know how we can control everybody. We'll tell them that they are sinning if they worship any other god than our political symbol, the god of our government. And if we make that the only god, then we legislate it. We make it against the law for them to worship any other gods. In fact, we will make it a death sentence. If they worship any other gods, we'll stone them to death, we'll skin them alive, we'll burn them at the stake. So Trust me, once we install that, they're going to come on over. And then, of course, all we have to do is play the victim card and tell people, we can't say that we've been victimized by the Babylonians because they'll come and kick our ass. So who can we say? The Egyptians. Yeah, but we were never in Egypt. Yeah, but let's make up a story that we were. And then we can create a victim mentality, and then we can turn that into politics, and then we can turn that into religion, and let's go write that up. So they wrote this thing that you now know of, which is called the Old Testament. They borrowed from their own polytheist mythology, which is why in Genesis it says, let us go down and make man in our image. The us is the council of the gods. That's why there's all kinds of stuff in there that's part true, part falsehood. And they put it in this thing and they said, this is the Torah, and they came back, and because they were released, because the Babylonians were defeated, and they came back, and they had this thing to prove to you that we're the ones that should be running this thing. We're going to put in a bunch of genealogies. Remember, have you ever read the Bible? What the heck is this? And Zasaphrath begat Sophambocht, and Sophambocht, it's who begat who. They're trying to tell you, because you'll find out that their names are in there. So the people that came back to rule over are the ones that God made us. God, He's the only one. You don't believe me? I'm going to stone you to death. Oh, you now believe me. Oh, good for you. Yeah. And by the way, we've been so victimized, which they probably had by Babylonians and whoever else, let's screw them and let's have our own God. And that's where this all came from. And it was so brilliant because it went to the core of human existence, which is being loved and approved of. See, the Roman religion, because it was polytheist, they couldn't really get that angle going very well. But when you've got one God whose approval you have to get, or you're going to be thrown into hell forever, and then you tap into people's need to be loved and approved of. That's what the establishment has always done. That's what the phrase, we can do it. Come on, we got this, we can do it. Well, you have to do this not for yourself, as Arnold Schwarzenegger ubiquitously said, screw your freedom. You have to do this not for your sake, but for everybody else's sake. And the risk is worth the benefit for everybody else. And if you don't do it, you'll make other people unhealthy. That's where all that comes from. To tell you that you don't have any value, that you don't have any worth, and your worth is dependent upon being accepted by God, by the group. It's a survival instinct that is the deepest, most powerful thing that we have in the third dimension. And when the truth of extraterrestrials is revealed to the world, and when people see what extraterrestrials really are, they will tap into their soul and they will immediately realize that they are, in fact, divine beings. And the third dimensional delusion combined with the lie that has been given to us, which is we live in an empty world that is filled with empty molecules and things bouncing around, and there is no spirit in anything. There is no consciousness as anything. Oh yeah, those shamans, they used to believe, they were so superstitious. They believed that trees had souls and that clouds could talk to you and that, their mountains were giants, and they were just so superstitious. No, we know that nothing has anything. We live in an empty, cold, arbitrary universe, which is, why do you need to follow any real morals? Because nothing really matters anyway, right? And then on the other side of that, you got the religious people who are saying, the opposite of that taken to the nth extreme, which is that no, there is morality, and it's so intense that you're not worthy of it, and in fact, you don't even deserve to live unless you become one of us and you do our thing, and then our God will accept you if you have the right intellectual understanding. And in both of those cases, you lose your identity. You don't have any value. You no longer exist. So you have only one choice. You want to be loved, you got to get them, whoever they are, to accept you and love you. But when you can live from the truth within yourself that there is nothing that you can do that will make you more lovable than you already are. There is nothing that you can own, nothing that you can be, nothing that you can have, nothing that you can do that will give you any more value than you already have. And that the only thing that matters is that you live your life in such a way that you make yourself happy, truly happy from your soul. If you want to know the difference, because people will say, well, if I only do what I want, then, what if what my soul desire is to, stick heroin in my neck? Well, obviously your soul doesn't want that. And if you are doing something that actually does cause harm to other people, then you are running away from your soul. So entertainment, like video games and porn and gambling, those things have nothing to do with the soul. They can trap your attention for a little while and you can escape yourself and think you're having fun. But when you operate from creativity, music, art, cooking, making food, something, sports, healing, medicine, philosophy, I'm not trying to limit it. It's as long as it truly makes you happy in a way that gives you purpose and destiny. That's God. That's the highest religion there is. And when you live that, you benefit other people. There are people who won't like it, but those are people who are running away from themselves. So you're not harming them, even though you're disappointing them and not giving them what they want. You're not harming them. They're in pain because you are reminding them that they're running away from themselves. And so they're angry with you and they disapprove of you. But that's not the same. So I'm watching it on Netflix. If you want to watch it on Netflix, I think it's The 3-Body Problem. And it's a science fiction series where this woman, I'm going to ruin it, so if you don't want it, I'm going to ruin it for you. Spoiler alert. This Chinese woman, way back in the 50s or something like that, is working in this scientific base, and they are sending a signal out into space to find and communicate with aliens if they exist. And she's successful. And she's there by herself, of course, which never would have happened. She's by herself in the laboratory, and the computer comes up, and this message from some distant alien civilization comes up and says, don't respond to us, don't communicate to us. I am a pacifist in our society. Whatever you do, do not send another message, because we will come and conquer you. And because she's living in, again, it's just so typical, she's living in communist China, which of course right now the United States wants you to believe that communist China is coming to get you. Because she lives in communist China, she decides that she's better off with alien invaders, so she sends a message. And because of that, of course the aliens do find where Earth is, and they're coming. So in this, they're showing up now. So it's taken whatever it is, 70 years or 60 or 70 years, whatever, for the aliens to show up. And what's interesting is if you watch that, if you want to know the propaganda that the elites want you to know about extraterrestrials, watch that, because it is perfect propaganda. What they want you to believe is that these aliens who are coming are very powerful, and that they have the ability to communicate telepathically and know all of your thoughts and feelings. Now that's true. So remember, lies, the best lies aren't completely disprovable. The best lies are conflated. They have partial truth and partial falsehood. Because then if somebody wants to try and argue with you and you say that's false, they'll say, what, are you saying that aliens don't communicate telepathically? We'll say yeah, they do. And I say, see, that's what we're talking about. So you can't say that they want to catch you on one little thing. And so that's why conflation is the best, because you can't tell. You're gaslit out of the truth. So in this, the aliens communicate telepathically, and they can tell your true thoughts and feelings and intentions. They are extremely advanced technologically. Now, both of those things are true about extraterrestrials. Then they go on to, in this propaganda, which is presenting itself as a Netflix show, but it's pure propaganda. Now, whether this was, I mean, at this point, I'm so jaded, I believe that there are CIA people working in Hollywood that say, here's an idea for a movie, and they give it to writers, and writers will make it, and they put their name on it. But, you know, the ideas are coming from, you know, the CIA guys aren't necessarily artistic enough to be able to write a whole script, so they give it to actual writers, but they tell you, here's the basis of it. These aliens, telepathic and extremely powerful technologically, but they're completely clueless about human emotion. And because human emotion is, compared to these, you know, this stereotypical, you know, high, just totally anti-emotional, intellectual, you know, because that's what you're led to believe. You've been led to believe that aliens are extremely advanced intellectually, but emotionally they're dead. They don't have any emotion. You've been led to believe that to be more advanced means that you don't have emotion, that you're sociopathic. So these aliens decide they're going to wipe out humanity because humanity has nuance and does things like tells stories and has metaphors, and they don't understand metaphor, and they don't understand that. So because we don't understand that, that means you're lying to us, and we're afraid of people who lie to us, so we're going to have to kill all of you. And so that's where I am in the story. So now it's like, oh my God, how are they going to fight against these sociopathic, really powerful aliens? And that's what they're shoving down your throat. And that's why when on my Facebook page, of course, the trolls are coming out, they accuse me of being, they call me liar. Let me give you another weird thing that people do. So there are people that will, of course, they're trolls. They're probably extremely religious and maybe not be very, you know, emotionally balanced, probably uneducated based on the spelling I'm seeing. But they'll do this really interesting conflation within themselves. They will call me a liar because I'm talking about extraterrestrials having souls just like you do. That's the one that people can't stand hearing. They don't want to hear that extraterrestrials have souls. So they call me a liar, and then they say that I'm being deceived by the devil. Now, if you hear that and that sounds like a logical statement, now you know how propaganda works. Because you can't be both of those things at the same time. You can't be deceived and be a liar. You have to pick one. A person who is deceived is honest and is sincere and believes something that they think is true, which actually isn't, because somebody has given them false information that they've accepted. They've been deceived. So you can call me, you can say that I've been deceived if you want. That would make sense. But to call me a liar and then say that I'm deceived, that would be that's you can't be that. So a liar is somebody who knows what the truth is, or at the very least knows that what they're saying is false and is consciously giving you a falsehood. So you can't be deceived while consciously, deliberately giving out a falsehood. Now, why would somebody say that? Why would somebody have this belief, and why would this be such a prevalent thing that you could say and nobody would catch you in that discrepancy. You could be filled in a room filled with people who would say you're deceived, you're a liar. Because what it means, because everything is a projection, what it means is that when I say something very wonderful, because there's nothing evil or frightening about me saying that extraterrestrials have souls just like you do. I mean, is there anything wrong about that? Is there anything evil about that? No. Unless you have been manipulated to be afraid of your own divinity, to be afraid of your own soul. If you have been manipulated to be afraid of your own soul, then when somebody comes along and says something you don't understand, something that you don't have experience in, has the exact same soul as you, it's going to frighten you. Because your value comes from believing that only this God and this species of human, these are the only things that have souls, and that's where the safety is. You go outside of that, which is things I don't understand, and you're going to tell me that that has a soul to it, it's going to frighten the hell out of you, because that means that your little safety place has now been expanded in a way that makes it insignificant. In other words, your religion will be destroyed. This is what I mean. If you understand the nature of extraterrestrials and you find out that they have a soul just like yours, and you experience that in a way that cannot be denied, religion will come crashing down. The new religion, of course, is the new fascism, which people think is communism, but it's not. People say, the U.S. is turning communist. It's not. The U.S. is 100% fascist, and I mean the Democratic Party is 100% fascist now. But that's the new religion. So either way, whether you're a Christian and you're going to lose that religion, or you're a fascist, you are worshiping the state, you're going to lose that religion. You will be in a world that you don't understand, and you will be frightened. So the person who says that I am lying and I'm deceived at the same time is projecting their own internal issue. They are revealing their own cognitive dissonance, because they know that they've been lied to. But they want the approval of the people who are lying to them more than they want to know the truth. So what they do is they lie to themselves. They choose to allow themselves to be deceived, and they lie to themselves. So that's what these people are saying. When these people say that I am a liar and that I'm deceived, they're telling you their own experience. Now, I'm not judging Christians, because I was one. I was a minister. I used to preach on the street. I used to read the New Testament in Greek, the original language. When Mormons and other cult members besides Christians would come to my house, knock on the door, and they'd say, in the Greek it says this. I go, hang on a second. I go get my Greek New Testament and say, show me where that is. And then I'd read to them in Greek, and I'd look at their Greek, and I'd see, your Greek is wrong. Somebody changed it. There's the real Greek. So you can't sit here and tell me that I don't understand Christianity, because I understand it better even than Christians do, because I'm out of it now. And I can tell you what they're most afraid of. And what they're most afraid of is they're most afraid of God rejecting them. And they are constantly in fear of this happening to them. Which is why they come up with doctrines that don't exist in the Bible, like eternal security. There's nowhere in the Bible that tells you you're eternally secure. In fact, Jesus himself, in the judgment, says to supposed believers who come to him and say, Jesus, I believed in you. Jesus, I healed the sick. Jesus, I cast out demons. And even then, they did exactly what they were told, which is they were told, if you believe in Jesus with all your heart, mind, and soul, you'll be saved. They did that. And even then, Jesus says to them, get away from me, I never knew you. So they know inside that their religion is trying to destroy them. And they can't tolerate it because the thought of not being loved and accepted is intolerable, because they believe that the universe is an empty, cold, cruel place that will devour them. That's why even people who aren't Christians but are Gnostics, basically Christianity light, they believe in evil, dark forces. They believe in archons, which are spiritual forces that are coming to feed on you. And there are archons. They're humans with incredibly powerful money, incredibly powerful influence, incredibly powerful technology, including the technology to mess with your head. So much so that it's open, in case you don't know it. There is people out there, McDonald's, I mean, I could get you the article, I'd have to go looking for it, but McDonald's is trying to put commercials into your dreams. So if it's out there, you know, that already exists. Guaranteed, it's been used for a long time. And then they have very powerful, what we would classify as spiritual technology, which is really just the understanding of energy. And this is why, you know, some spiritual practices have a danger to them. Because you're playing around with physics, you're playing around with energy. So you have people who tens of thousands of years ago discovered and or were taught, perhaps by higher dimensional beings, very powerful energy practices that allowed them to have control over all kinds of things, including people's mentality. And if you understand what extraterrestrials really are, all of that knowledge is going to come into common knowledge. It'll destroy religion. It'll destroy politics. It'll destroy the power of the elites. Because once you understand who you truly are, nobody will ever be able to control you ever again. So I believe that what I'm talking about now is there's going to be a greater awareness of this, a greater revelation of this. I believe that's what this eclipse is bringing. It's going to, as I said, the biggest things, there are two big things. The biggest one is the true knowledge of extraterrestrials, and the other one is something I can't talk about here on YouTube. But it has to do with children, and it has to do with global trafficking, and it has to do with unbelievable dark religious practices. I'll just leave it at that. When the average person finds out about this, it will be so devastating to the collective unconscious of the world. It will be very traumatic. And many people, I believe, will probably be unable to accept it. But there will be enough people who will see it for what it is that it will destroy everything that we understand about this world. And I'm not going to get into it because I've got other videos where I do that, but that's what's happening when we talk about this. Get over here. This solar flash event. We're inside the prism right now where it says Ascension event. We're inside the prism, and this is where the frequencies are beginning to separate, and this is why we're seeing so much division among people. And people are really confused as to what to believe and which way to go. But the people who are unable to see the truth, unable to accept the truth, they will go someplace where they will feel safe. And so you'd ask, why would somebody choose to live in a version of Earth where they are oppressed? Because that oppression keeps them safe from the truth that will frighten them. So if you want to be in the highest, most beautiful, most wonderful, heaven-like reality, then you must be fearless. When people, again, they're accusing me of all kinds of things, because that's what trolls do, and that's what happens when videos start going viral, and that's what's happening on Facebook. But, one of my favorite responses is, "You're a liar, prove it to me." And every now and then just out of fun, I'll respond and I'll say, "I'm not trying to prove anything to you, I'm telling you how to prove it for yourself." And then they want to backtrack into me proving it, and I say, "You didn't hear me, did you? I'm not interested in proving anything to you. I want you to prove it for yourself, and here's how you do it. Google CE5 protocols or do interdimensional meditation. Talk to them yourself and find out who they are." And the last thing I want to speak on is the fear of this. So again, these same people who say you're being deceived, these are demons, these are fallen angels, they're lying to you, you're being deceived. People they really think that about me. And we have people coming on the channel very regularly. Just last time I was on, as you were here, somebody said, "How do you know these beings aren't lying to you and they're not harmful?" That is a really common, understandable question. And if you have that question, you should ask that question. I believe that there's really no such thing as a stupid question. However, you must be willing to understand where the question came from. Remember, I gave you, two extreme possibles in the human third dimensional reality. A well-adjusted person who believes that everything around him or her loves them, and because the universe loves them and takes care of them as long as they do what makes them happy, then all they have is curiosity, which means that they bravely do things to find out what something is. So even if they know something might be a little dangerous, they're willing to investigate it because they want to know. And they know that they'll be taken care of and they'll be protected and they'll be loved no matter what they experience. And then there are people on the other end who don't know that. People who don't know that they're loved simply because they exist. Who don't know that the universe loves you unconditionally and that even the molecules of air around you are striving to keep you healthy and happy, which means you only have curiosity. So you either have fear of the unknown or curiosity about the unknown. If you have fear about the unknown, which is what the person was asking me yesterday, how do you know these ETs aren't lying to you? And my response was, because I have experience in it. My experience has told me what these beings are. But that isn't going to work for you because it's unknown to you. And I didn't get into it, but that person obviously had the base assumption that they weren't lovable, that the universe didn't love them, and that everything that is unknown is out to get you. Which means that if the unknown is out to get you, it means that you're unloved. And that's why you don't investigate the unknown. And this is exactly what this movie is saying that I'm telling you about. This propaganda on Netflix is saying, don't talk to ETs. You don't know them. You don't know what they want. You don't know anything about them. Not only that, but they're different than us. They don't understand our emotions. They don't understand. They're so different that because we're different from them, they want to destroy us. You can't talk to them. If you talk to them, they'll find out where you are. They'll find out you exist. They'll come get you. So you would rather not know because you don't know. Maybe they are loving. Maybe they are wonderful, but I don't know. And so your fear of the unknown is enough. It's never been enough for me. I always have to know what something is. I don't know what that is about me. And the thing is, once you understand something, even if it's dangerous, it's not frightening to you. I'm a surfer. Every year, surfers are attacked by sharks. Every year, swimmers are attacked by sharks. But I lived in the shark bite capital of the world in Florida for a year, and I didn't have any fear going. I remember I bumped into a shark. I wasn't afraid of it. It wasn't that I didn't know there wasn't a potential that that shark wouldn't attack me. I knew that. But I wasn't afraid because I understand what sharks are. I know what they are. In Southern California, anybody who lives out there, if you swim in the water, you've been within 100 yards of a great white shark. I guarantee it. They didn't decide to eat you. We understand how they work, what they do. They don't. I've known that every time that I paddle out into the ocean. When I was in California, I knew that if I could see from above, I would see at least one great white shark under the surface. I understood what they were. They didn't frighten me, even though they were dangerous. You know what a car is. But think about the crazy thing that you do every single time that you get on the road. There's a white line painted down the middle of the road. And if you didn't, and I know because I've lived in countries where they switch the rules. I mean, I grew up in the United States and I've lived in Australia for a while. And if I followed the rules of the road in the United States, it would be guaranteed I would crash into another car head on at some point. So the only thing that's protecting you from those cars coming past you double your speed. If you're going 35 miles an hour, then if you hit, it would be 75 miles an hour smashing into the combination of the two. The only thing that's protecting you from that 75 mile an hour collision is a painted line on the road. There's nothing protecting you. You know the danger of just getting in your car. People get into car crashes all the time. It happens every day all over the world. As I've been talking, there's been car crashes. That doesn't stop you from getting in your car because you understand. It's not that you don't have any knowledge that there's danger. You just understand what it is. It doesn't frighten you. So for somebody who doesn't, when I say to you, do this and talk to extraterrestrials yourself and find out what I found out. The person who says, I don't want to do that, it frightens me because I don't understand it. Well, if you want to get over your inability to take action on things you don't understand because you're afraid, then I offer you this assumption, which you can choose to accept and act on, which is that you are a divine being equal to God, meaning that the universe and everything in manifested reality is as devoted to your happiness and your well-being, as devoted to you as it is to the Creator itself. When you understand that, then you have nothing to fear. If I was an exorcist. I understand demons. I know that they exist. I know that people can be possessed and attacked. I've watched it. I've experienced it. But because I understand demons, they don't frighten me. So if I were to go somewhere and mistakenly interact with a demon, I would get the hell out of there and I would know what to avoid. So if you think that extraterrestrials are potentially evil, find out for yourself. If you find out that they're evil, walk away. But the idea that there's a being out there, whether it be a false being of light, supposed false being of light, or a light being from another planet called an extraterrestrial, if you believe that those beings have more power than your soul, then you don't understand who you are. And when you understand, you won't have fear, you'll have curiosity. But if you have curiosity, you're going to start asking questions about the dark forces that rule this world, and they don't want you to do that. So they keep you afraid with these movies about frightening, powerful, telepathic, advanced extraterrestrial beings that will kill you simply because you have nuanced feelings. That's literally, I've just found the reason why the aliens are going to kill the humans is that the humans have nuanced feelings and they don't understand that, and that frightens them, so therefore they're going to kill all the humans. So that means you believe that. That's why somebody wrote that. Somebody wrote that because that's in the fear box of all humans. And that's why people are watching it, because they unconsciously are afraid that if somebody finds out the nuances of my feelings, they're going to reject me. They'll kill me. So pull up your big boy and big girl pants. Find out the thing that is most important, which is the nature of your soul. There are souls out there who are in higher dimensions. They're from other planets and other civilizations, but in terms of their deepest essence, they are identical to you, and they want to help you discover yourself. And when you do that, nothing will be able to touch you. That, I believe, is what's going to be coming out of this eclipse. The dark forces who act as though they're these giant Anunnaki lords over you, they're actually just very frightened, very miserable, narcissist humans who happen to have access to a lot of powerful tools. That's it. And that's going to be exposed. All right. Again, it's very important if you want me to stay on here doing this, keep doing the work. I need your support. So please, if you're new to the channel, even if you're not and you haven't, subscribe, like, and comment. And of course, the interdimensional meditation, 12 steps to 5D, those will always be free. All of the practices are going over to thunderwizard.com at the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. So please go there, subscribe to that. And you can go to the shop if you don't want to make a commitment to anything. You can go to the shop here at thunderwizard.com, click on shop. You will see various practices, including the wood set, which I just put up, and the Summoning the Immortals, the Celestial Qigong, which is the reverse engineering. If you want to see reverse engineered extraterrestrial energy work, that's what the Celestial Qigong is. I reverse engineered it from more advanced stuff. And the Huar mantra, supercharging the pineal gland, that is something that I just came up with recently, and it has a Qigong practice with the Huar breath, which is the mantra for the solar flash event. That was given to me by a mantis being who taught me how to chant that. And I've since learned how to turn that. They also taught me how to turn it into a Qigong practice. That's in there. And then I teach you a very powerful technique when you're deep into meditation that will activate the pineal gland, which is your transceiver, which takes you to and from the fifth dimension. So go to the shop. If you're not looking to subscribe, go to the shop and get that. And there's no reason why you can't do both. You can subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge and go to the shop. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. You got nothing to lose. So you'll allow me to continue to keep doing this as long as the world demands that I play the Monopoly money game. And I will continue to give this message out to the world, but I can't do that without you taking action to fulfill yourself and to empower yourself. That's what I'm here for. All right. I'm happy to take a look and see if there are any questions. Leela Mooch question. I thank you for writing question in all caps, because I asked you to do that. Now, you don't have to write the whole thing in all caps, just the word question, but I appreciate the gesture. You say, I did Qigong with the rice ball. I don't know what that means. Did I tell you about a practice where you create a ball? Is that what you're talking about? I did Qigong with the rice ball, and when I woke up early in the morning, I saw the rice ball up on my ceiling while my eyes were open. What do you think? What does it matter what I think? That was your experience. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It sounded like you obviously had enough of an experience that you dreamt about it. I don't know what else. I mean, I want to know. I'm curious to hear what you think happened. Obviously, something wonderful happened. Outside of that, your guess is as good as mine. But it sounds like a great experience. Congratulations. At the very least, what I think is you should keep doing it. That's obviously a sign you should keep doing the Qigong. Other than that, keep us informed. I'd love to hear about it. Okay, so let's see. Thundra threw $1.99 at me. Thank you very much. I won't be homeless now because of you. Let's see. Jedi Black Knight says, I had 3 different injuries, jawbone, thumb, and hip joints during the last few days. Makes me wonder if it's the unconscious agendas coming out. Well, I mean, I work really hard to keep myself healthy and free of injury, and I've been having this like headache. I'm not having it now, but yeah, it's been coming and going the past few days. So yeah, I think the big thing is that if we don't internalize the stress, if we are able to release it, this is why doing Qigong, doing the Maoshan practices, exercising, swimming in the ocean, walking, doing something to release the built-up emotional tension. I think that's a big thing because I think that's really what comes down to it. If we are able to, not tense up, and if we allow ourselves to have our feelings, I think we'll be a lot safer from that. Grimnir, if you have a question, it helps if you write the word question in all caps so that I can see it. Otherwise, I might pass by your question. You say, in what direction on Thunder Wheel would Ithuna be? Ithuna is the moon, right? Ithuna is the moon. So do you know what direction the moon is? In case you guys don't know, I have books. You can find my books at michaelwilliamdenny.com. And in those books, I have Thunder Shamanism. I have a bunch of books, and I teach you about a thing called the Thunder Wheel, which is I've synthesized and distilled all of the shamanic practices that use the 8 directions, and you find out where all the planets are, the energies, all of that. So the northwest is where the moon is placed. So Iduna is a moon goddess, right? Ariel says, hello Mahadeva, I have unfortunately tuned in late to your video yet again. I will watch it full in the morning. Look forward to our next session. Good to see you, Ariel. Thank you for checking in. Trinity, question. Please write the word question in all caps in the future, please. She says, have you seen the cover of The Economist magazine cover, The World Ahead 2024? Check out the image of the brains hooked up to the computer. Yeah. One of the other interesting things about this movie I keep talking about, I mean, they talk about, they make mention of conspiracy theories, which both of them I would consider are not theories at all, they're facts. But it's interesting they throw that out there so you can hear the propaganda in that. And the other thing is they make the government spying on you look like they're protecting you. So you end up having this, you end up with this feeling that you need the government to be monitoring you. Like in one scene, she doesn't take her phone into this meeting that the cops are trying to find out about the people who are connected to the evil aliens. And so the cops are going to be monitoring her, right? But they don't put, like a microphone on her or anything like that. She has her phone, in other ways they're tapping into her phone. In fact, there are numerous scenes where the cop is sitting there watching while he is hacked into her phone and she doesn't know it. And she's talking to other people. And they're just putting it out there like it's nothing. And you're supposed to react to it like, oh, thank God the cops are there hacking us and watching us without us knowing. Oh, thank God for that. And so she's going to go into this meeting with the bad people, the alien lovers. And they say, don't bring your phone in, leave your phone out. And she says, are you going to be monitoring me? And the guy says, I hope you're kidding. Meaning, of course we are. But he doesn't say how. That's the interesting thing. He doesn't say how. Maybe I missed it. But it was just so prevalent that the feeling behind it was that Big Brother is watching over you all the time in ways you can't know, and it's a good thing. During the pandemic, I was here in Queensland, which was one of the best places to be before the lockdown ended, because they had blocked out, Queensland. Sad part is people in Australia couldn't go back and forth between Queensland and like New South Wales. They were locked in, so people couldn't see each other. But there wasn't any COVID here, and we didn't have to do a whole lot of lockdowns. But early in it, they locked everybody down, and you were only allowed to go out for certain things, and you weren't allowed to have like more than 2 or 3 guests in your home. I don't remember what the number was, but I had heard about people that lived near me, and they had decided to have friends over. So I think at one point some guy had 10 people over. They were quiet. They just stayed at home and whatever they did. And while they're having this quiet, private gathering with, citizens, and there's 10 people there visiting, there's a knock on the door and there's a cop there. Guy opens the door and the cop is there, and the cop says, you need to tell everybody who doesn't live here to leave. So he does. He tells everybody, you got to go. And then he says to the cop, he says, how did you know that they were here? And they said, oh, we monitor, we know where everybody's cell phone is. We can tell you where every cell phone is in the city. And we saw a bunch of cell phones, that added up to more than we know the amount of people that live in that house. It just blew my mind. The cops have that. Cops know where your phone is. They know how many people are in your house at any given time. And this movie's trying to tell you this is okay. We're here to protect you. Privacy? What is that? Anyway, all right. I don't see any other questions, so I guess we're done. All right, guys. So that's it. Again, subscribe, like, comment. Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Subscribe. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. If you want to learn the most powerful technique for opening up the pineal gland to connect to 5D, then go to thunderwizard.com, click on shop, and you can get it there. And that's it. Support me on Facebook at The Path of the Thunder Wizard. Take the videos and share them to your friends. That's one of the reasons things are going viral over there. People are forwarding and sharing the videos to their other Facebook friends. So do that. And my goal, my hope is to get this channel through the roof. So I've got a lot more than 500,000 views on just my shorts over there, on all of them combined. And if we can start getting that over here and get more and more people on my YouTube channel, we can really start getting this message out. So thank you for those of you who are doing that. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed, everybody who is actively doing the practices and empowering yourself. And anybody, especially those of you who are doing the free guided interdimensional meditations, and you're talking to ETs yourself, you're not taking my word for anything, which you shouldn't. I'm not going to try and prove anything to you. I want you to prove it to yourself. Thank you to everybody who's moving in that direction. I appreciate it. And again, as always, everything I do comes from the deepest desire to be as helpful as possible. Sometimes I hurt and offend people, and if I've done that, please forgive me. That's it for now, and until next time, my friends, I love you all. Please take extremely good care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.